Ahoy! Earlier this month I talked about the winter event and how much I enjoyed it last year as well as the changes for this year. Now that the Winter Convergence is slowly coming to its end, I want to talk about my experience this year compared to last year. This is mainly because the devs recently talked about how they measure if an event is generally well received or if it's fun by certain metrics. I believe metrics like this can sometimes not show the full picture, and in this particular case, my activity didn't really match with my enjoyment of the event. So this is something I want to talk about. I also want to remind you, before we get into the other stuff, that the event is over soon, and if you want to get any of the patterns for armor or weapons, you should probably keep that in mind and buy them relatively soon, or farm for them if you haven't yet. As I talked about in detail in my first video, the legendary armor patterns come with Corrupted Ward, Elemental Aversion and Luck, and you can choose the attribute on it, and they're locked 600 gear score, even provide you with gear score increases and armor shards and whatnot, so they're absolutely worth it if you don't have a full good Corrupted Ward set yet, or you may be looking for a lazy way to increase gear score on a new character. Some of the weapon patterns are also pretty good, so plenty of options to consider here. And now let's get to the event. When Katie and David were on the New World Order show, the host asked them what their metric is for the success of an event in New World. And here's what Katie responded.
You know, we have to measure fun, right? You guys, and when we play the event, fun to me is I'm ready to go Zerg the next Bal. I'm ready to go to the next Winter Warrior. Like, that's my version of, I'm like, that was really good. I like the reward, or I had fun with the group I'm with. Like, I'm ready to go. Let's do this again. If I want to repeat that content over and over and over again, I know that to me, that's fun, which leads into what the data is that we look at, which is retention and engagement. You know, are we seeing, are we seeing that folks are staying in the game? Are we seeing a dip? Are we seeing an increase? Are we seeing more people than we would normally see at certain times? You're right about session length. Like, all of that are ways that we measure fun. So, yeah.
So it seems that to a large portion, this measurement of fun comes down to how long and how often players play in engagement with the event. Let's talk about this in the context of the winter event. When we look at the potential options that we have to get tokens, which give us the rewards, so that's obviously what we want, we have Presence, we have Gleamate, we have the Warrior Hail Spikes, and we can directly get tokens from the trees in the towns. 3 of these options were already available last year. The only new one is the Warrior Hail Spike from the new event. Hypothetically, adding a new option to existing options should make it more fun. But how many tokens are we getting from each? Each present is worth 1/3 of a token. You need 3 to get a simple token. And you get 1 token per present that you collect, so you get roughly 0.33 tokens. There is an exception here with the flying presents, but those are so rare that I wouldn't really count them as a significant factor overall. If we were to convert them into premium tokens, then each present would be worth 0.013 premium tokens. So very, very little. Gleamite is a fair bit better. The conversion rate was actually changed at some point. It used to be 1 to 10, but now it is 1 to 6. So you actually get a fair bit more for your Gleamite. I think this may have been a change this year. Either way, if you're lucky enough to farm a whole Gleamite share on your own, you apparently get around 75 Gleamite. At a conversion rate of 0.167, that means you get 12.5 tokens out of that, or roughly half a premium token this year, a little less than that last year at the worst conversion rate. However, Gleamite showers are relatively rare, and if someone else is in the area as well, then you get significantly less. The third option is collecting the trees. The conversion here is 1-to-1 because you're literally just getting winter tokens, and at the most upgraded trees you get 5 tokens. There are a few exceptions in the winter villages where you just get 3, but excluding those, we usually get a total of 5, which means we're getting 0.25 premium tokens per present. You also have the additional chance to get premium tokens directly if you're lucky. I unfortunately was not able to find the chance for that. I think it may be somewhere between 10 to 20% based on my own experience, but I can't say for sure. So last year I found quite a few furniture items from the event, and some of them even multiple times, which meant I needed a lot of tokens. If I recall correctly, you got quite a few from the quests, so that was one of the farms I did, but along with that I also went to every city just to get all the presents. And I also had a farming round in Morningdale where I picked up presents off the ground. There was an area where a Gleamite shower happened at night, and then otherwise I was just farming other mats that were in those areas, which was just overall a really long and honestly enjoyable farm loop. I was basically running a farming route that I would have ran either way, but on top of getting what I normally get, there were like the dead areas in between, in which I now got presents instead. This year they added the Warrior's Hail Spikes, which dropped from the Winter Warrior event. And the drop rate here is a bit weird because you have a 10% chance to get 1 spike, you have a 70% chance to get 2 spikes, a 10% chance to get 3 spikes, and a 10% chance to get 5 spikes. If you average that over a lot of runs, then you get 2.3 spikes per Winter Warrior. The conversion rate here is 1 spike into 10 tokens, so a total of roughly 23 tokens per Winter Warrior. That means you're getting 0.92 premium tokens for every Winter Warrior that you do. And you can already see the problem here. The Warrior is way more efficient to farm than any of the other options, basically making them all redundant. Why would I run around the world and farm presents when I can just zerg the Warrior with a large group and get the same tokens way quicker? Especially if I'm doing it in the early days where the zerg kills the boss in a few minutes at best. I think the actual Winter Warrior mechanics are pretty cool and the boss fight is designed in a cool way, but you're never gonna notice much of that when you're zerging him. It's not like there'd be any penalty for dying either. You either wait until someone reses you or just spawn at a camp nearby and just walk back in. So it's a very basic, very repetitive fight if it's done as a zerg. And this is becoming a very repetitive pattern between the Halloween event, the Turkulon event, and now the Winter event. It also definitely punishes those that may not have the free time to farm in the first few days and go with the Zerg all the time and just space out their playtime more, because if they do it later, then it will take a lot longer. And let's talk about things taking longer. Last year there were 2 cosmetics that you basically could only get from the event, being the Give Present emote and the Winter Wanderer's Cloak. Both cost 10 premium tokens, bringing you to a total of 20 premium tokens for the stuff that you basically don't want to miss out on. If you were to get the highest tier armor set along with a weapon, that would have set you back 20 premium tokens, though the set was not particularly good to begin with. You were probably better off just getting some of the patterns and crafting some stuff, but that was all RNG in that year, so it's not really comparable to what we have now. However, there were also a lot of furniture options. Most people probably don't care about them much, but at the same time, most MMOs have a lot of completionists. And I, unfortunately for myself, am one of those. I also really like decorating my house, so I wanted to get a full set of everything. If you do that and just get each item once, which I didn't do, I got a bunch of chairs and multiple stack statues and whatnot, but if you just get everything once for the sake of collection, that would be a total of 59 premium tokens. All in all, if you bought the 3 things that I just talked about, that would set you back 99 premium tokens last year. But this year they added a ton of new stuff, which is cool, don't get me wrong. I like that they added a lot of new things that are worth farming for. But we have to look at how much we need to farm now. Getting all the cosmetics now includes a set of instrument skins as well as new skins, being the Winter Wanderer's Helm, the Winter Wanderer's Flowing Cloak, which is literally just the old cloak recycled with a flowing cape behind it, the Winter Warrior's Helm, the Winter Warrior's Gloves, and the Winter Scale Coat. By the way, in case you aren't aware yet, the Winter Scale Coat is some weird exception where you actually get a full set of skins for your entire gear set, and not just the chest piece as it would look like if you look at it. It's on the level of so ugly that it's good again, so figured this is something to at least be aware of. Then there are also new emotes, Gleamite Juggle, Throw, Snow, and Shruggy Dance, and a camp skin, the Winter Gem. All in all, getting all of the cosmetics sets you back 130 premium tokens. If you were to get a legendary armor set with a legendary weapon pattern, then that would be an additional 12 premium tokens. This is actually better than last year. While you have to have the crafting mats yourself, you need to get the cooldown mats to actually craft the pieces. The pieces themselves are a lot better, and you only need 2 premium tokens for that, so this time that aspect is for sure better. The new furniture items are also on the very expensive end with 10 and 15 tokens, so if you were to get all of the old and new furniture this year, that'll cost you another 84 tokens. For a total of 226 premium tokens for a player that is trying to get everything this year. Even if you exclude all the old items and just get the new stuff, that would still be 147 tokens. Let's do some generous rounding here and say we get 1 premium token per Winter Warrior we kill, even though we actually get a little bit less. In that case, we'd still have to kill the Winter Warrior 147 times. Sure, you can subtract some of the quest rewards and some of the trees that you pick up while doing the Winter Warrior when you travel into towns and so on, but overall, it's still going to be around that number. You're still looking at 100 plus kills at least. And you can't tell me that that's fun, especially if you're not doing it in the beginning. The Winter Warrior fights can easily last 10 minutes, and also you constantly have to fast travel from spot to spot, which is what I already thought was annoying last year with the towns. Now, of course, you're not forced to do that. You're not forced to complete the entire event and get all of the rewards. But that's exactly where the completionists come in, of which you usually have quite a few in MMOs. And this creates a very misleading metric. Yeah, people are running the event over and over to get all of the rewards. But they're not doing that because they're enjoying doing it so much, they're doing it because of the fear of missing out. It should not be misinterpreted as grinders enjoying what they're doing. A lot of players likely only did this so they could make sure they get all of the rewards and did not actually enjoy doing so and may have actually found it less fun than what they're usually doing in the game. I also tried doing the event on a fresh character and I had to realize that the quests from last year were just entirely removed. Even on the fresh character, I did not get those same quests. I think that's really unfortunate. I enjoyed discovering those caves last year, also finding some rare mining materials in there and everything, so it was rewarding, it was fun. You had to learn the mechanics for the Jedi boss so that at the end you'd find the final one and either try to solo it or do it with some other players, and just had a more traditional sense of exploring something. Meanwhile, the new version of the event feels more like checking boxes, teleporting to the next Jedi that you see on the map, and that's pretty much it. In my opinion, it would be very easy to improve this. I think the prices for the rewards should be adjusted. There's really no reason for anything to be 15 premium tokens. Nothing here is particularly better than the rest. And also the conversion rates should be adjusted. For example, presents and gleamite should be worth more so that warrior hail spikes don't stand so far above everything else. Just make things balanced between them so that you can choose your preferred farming method. I personally would also prefer a version of the Winter Warrior that maybe gives you more rewards but isn't zergable. So some form of instance where only 20 people can enter the area, then you have to fight the Winter Warrior, get a big reward, and then you can't do it for a while, and other people can do it. I don't know if that's the best solution, but I think right now it's just the same thing for 3 events where you don't really have to care about boss mechanics at all and just run down a boss over and over, and I think it could be done better. I personally am not even sure if having them shown on the map at all times is a great idea. If people had to kind of randomly stumble across them and again have them have more rewards in return, it might be more fun and actually engage people more to suddenly rush to that place together because everyone is excited that it has been found, rather than just being like, oh yeah, check, next one, check, next one. I'm hoping that with future events and event additions, we see a bit more focus on the fun itself. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about more info about the new weapon, so if you're interested in that, consider subscribing and clicking the bell. Thanks for watching. Sloth, out.